girl came home crying from school every day. When they discovered the reason, Jennifer Miller couldn't sleep properly anymore. Her 4-year-old daughter came home every day with her little face red from crying, clinging to her pink backpack, as if it were her only comfort in a world that seemed too big for such a small child. Little Emily barely stepped inside the house before running straight to her room, not even taking off her backpack. Jennifer tried everything to find out what was happening at school, but the girl would only shake her head and hide under the covers, sobbing quietly. The situation was turning the whole family upside down. Grandma Ruth, Emily's grandmother, who lived in the same house, began to suspect something very serious was going on at Little Dreams Elementary School, where her granddaughter attended. She had raised 5 children and knew a child's tears always had a reason. "Jennifer, my dear, this isn't normal," the gray-haired woman said, watching her granddaughter through the bedroom window. "A 4-year-old doesn't cry like this every single day without a reason." Jennifer had already gone to the school principal several times. Principal Barbara, a woman in her 50s, always assured her everything was fine, that Emily played normally during class. "You can rest easy, Mrs. Miller," the principal repeated with a smile meant to be comforting. "Emily is a well-behaved girl. She doesn't cause trouble. Sometimes children take time to adjust." But the daily tears told a completely different story. The situation only worsened as the weeks passed. Jennifer tried talking to the class teacher, Ms. Sarah, who always said the girl participated in activities and played with her classmates. "She's quiet, but I don't see anything unusual," the teacher explained, flipping through her notebook. "Maybe it's just a phase, Mrs. Miller. Little kids sometimes act like this." Things became even more concerning when Emily started having terrible nightmares at night. She'd wake up screaming, asking for her daddy, and it would take hours for her to fall back asleep. Jennifer and her husband, Michael, took turns comforting their daughter during these desperate moments. Michael worked as an accountant at an office downtown and left home very early. He felt helpless seeing his daughter's suffering, but didn't know how to help. "Honey, we need to figure out what's going on," he told Jennifer, watching Emily toss and turn in her sleep. "It can't be that no one at school knows anything." Jennifer then decided to take her daughter to the family pediatrician, Dr. Anderson, who worked at the neighborhood clinic. After a full examination, he found no physical explanation for the girl's behavior. "From what I see here, Emily is physically healthy," the doctor explained, putting away his stethoscope. "But this constant crying could mean something is bothering her emotionally. Have you considered seeking psychological help?" That's when Mrs. Wilson, the 70-year-old neighbor who had been a teacher for 40 years before retiring, gave a suggestion that changed everything. "Jennifer, dear, when I taught, I always asked children to draw when they couldn't express what they were feeling," the elderly woman said, sipping coffee in the Miller's kitchen. "Why don't you look at Emily's drawings?" Jennifer started paying attention to the scribbles her daughter made at home. Every drawing showed the same thing: a large figure and a small one, separated by a thick black line. It didn't matter if she gave her colored pencils, crayons, or markers. The drawing was always the same. "Look at this, Mom," she showed Grandma Ruth. "Every drawing she makes has these two people separated." What could this mean? Grandma Ruth carefully observed the papers scattered on the kitchen table. "My dear, this line in the middle is separating someone. Emily is trying to tell us something with these drawings." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, following the pediatrician's advice, Jennifer sought out a child psychologist downtown. Dr. Jessica specialized in young children and used play to understand her patient's issues. During the first session, while Emily played with dolls in the office, something caught the psychologist's attention. The little girl always did the same thing. She took 2 dolls, placed one on each side of the table, and started crying. "She's acting out some kind of separation," Dr. Jessica explained to Jennifer as they watched the play. "Something or someone is being taken away from her in a way she can't understand or accept." The sessions continued for a few weeks, but progress was slow. Emily liked the psychologist, but still couldn't put into words what was troubling her so much. Then came the first twist in this mysterious story. Ms. Rodriguez, the school custodian, a simple but kind-hearted woman, approached Jennifer after school one Thursday afternoon. "Mrs. Miller, can I talk to you for a minute?" Carmen asked, glancing around as if sharing a secret. "Of course, Ms. Rodriguez. Did something happen?" "Look, I shouldn't be saying this, but I feel so bad for Emily," the woman said, lowering her voice. "Every day at recess, that little girl spends the whole time pressed against the fence at the back of the playground." Jennifer was confused. What fence was that? And why would Emily be staring outside the school instead of playing with her classmates? "Do you know what's on the other side of that fence, Ms. Rodriguez?" "It faces the office building across the street, the blue 3-story one." Emily just stands there like a statue, staring. Jennifer's heart raced. The blue 3-story building was exactly where Michael worked. Could it be? That same afternoon, she decided to investigate. She asked Principal Barbara to show her the fence at the back of the playground. Principal Barbara hesitated, but eventually took Jennifer there. "Is this where Emily stays during recess?" Jennifer asked, gripping the fence. "Sometimes, yes," the principal admitted, slightly embarrassed. "But I don't see a problem with it. Some children are just more reserved." Jennifer looked through the fence and her heart nearly stopped. Across the street, on the 3rd floor of the blue building, was the window of Michael's office. She could clearly see his desk and the chair where he spent his days. "Oh my God," Jennifer whispered, beginning to understand everything. The discovery was a shock. In her childlike way, Emily had realized that when she went to school, she was separated from her father, someone she could see but not reach. For a 4-year-old, those few meters across the fence represented an entire world of separation. Jennifer returned home with a heavy heart and told Michael and Grandma Ruth everything. "So that's it," Michael said, running a hand through his hair. "Our daughter spends all day looking at where I work but can't come near me." "My poor granddaughter," Grandma Ruth sighed, wiping a tear. "Imagine what's going through her mind. She must think her daddy's trapped, or that she can't be close to him anymore." The next day, Jennifer spoke to Ms. Sarah about the discovery. At first, the teacher was defensive. "Ms. Jennifer, I didn't know that was the reason," said Sarah, a little embarrassed. "I thought she was still just adjusting. Sometimes children take a while to get used to school." "Principal, Emily isn't adjusting. She's suffering," explained Jennifer, trying to stay calm. "Every day she sees her dad working on the other side of the fence but can't reach him." The principal promised to pay closer attention to Emily's behavior and try to help in some way, but the problem was more complicated than it seemed. Jennifer tried to explain to her daughter that Daddy would come home at the end of the day, that he was working to take care of the family. But Emily, just 4 years old, couldn't grasp the concept of time or the necessity of work. Michael, desperate to help his daughter, tried talking to his boss to see if he could visit her at school during lunchtime. But Mr. Thompson, the owner of the accounting firm, was firm. It wasn't possible to let employees leave during work hours for personal visits. "Michael, you understand I have a business to run," said the boss, showing little sympathy for the situation. "If I start letting one person visit their child at school, everyone will want to do the same." The Miller family was at a dead end. Grandma Ruth suggested switching Emily to another school, but Jennifer worried it might make things worse for her daughter. "If we move her to a new school now, she might think she's being punished," Jennifer argued. "What if she likes the new school even less?" Then Ms. Rodriguez, the cleaning assistant, shared something that left everyone even more emotional. She had watched Emily more closely and discovered something that broke their hearts. "Ms. Jennifer," said Rodriguez during a private conversation at school, "the little girl isn't just looking through the fence. She tries to reach something on the other side with her tiny fingers." "What do you mean, Ms. Rodriguez?" "She stretches her little arm through the fence and wiggles her fingers in the air like she's trying to touch something. And she keeps whispering, 'Daddy, Daddy.'" Jennifer couldn't hold back her tears, imagining her daughter trying to reach her father through the fence. The image of the small girl stretching her arms toward the building where Michael worked was heartbreaking. That night, she told her husband everything, and he was devastated. "Honey, I have to do something," said Michael, pacing back and forth in the living room. "I can't let my daughter suffer like this." "But what can we do? Your boss already made it clear he won't let you leave during work." Michael spent the whole night thinking of a solution. The next morning, he had an idea. He asked to speak with Mr. Thompson again, but this time he brought a different proposal. "Mr. Thompson, I understand you have a business to manage," Michael began, taking a deep breath. "But what if I make up the time? If I leave 15 minutes early from lunch, I can stay 15 minutes later at the end of the day." The boss thought for a moment. "Michael, you're a good employee, but this would set a complicated precedent." "I understand, sir. But it's just for a little while until my daughter gets more used to school." Unfortunately, the answer was still no. Mr. Thompson held his position that he couldn't make exceptions for the company. The family situation grew tense. Jennifer and Michael argued about priorities, what mattered more, work or their daughter's happiness. Grandma Ruth tried to mediate, but she was also worried about her granddaughter's well-being. "Listen, you're both suffering along with Emily," the grandmother said, serving coffee in the kitchen. "Fighting between yourselves won't solve anything. We need to think of another solution." It was on a Monday morning that the situation reached its breaking point. Emily completely refused to go to school. She clung to her father's leg with surprising strength for such a small child and screamed, "I don't want to go, Daddy. I don't want to be away from you." The scene was so moving that even Ashley, Emily's 15-year-old sister who always seemed distant from family problems, got emotional and started crying too. "Dad, she's suffering too much," Ashley said, hugging her little sister. "We need to do something." Michael was late to work that day, his eyes red from crying. His co-worker, Kevin, noticed his emotional state and asked what was wrong. "Kevin, I don't know what to do anymore," Michael confessed, sharing the whole situation about his daughter. Kevin, who had young children himself, was deeply touched by the story. "Michael, that's really tough," he said thoughtfully. "Listen, I have an idea. What if we sometimes switch shifts? I work mornings and you work afternoons so you could take Emily to school every day." Kevin's offer was generous, but there was a problem. It would mean Michael would have less family time on weekends, as he'd need to make up some hours. "Kevin, I really appreciate it, but then I'd lose time with Jennifer and the girls on the weekend." "Think about it, man. It's just temporary, until things settle down." Michael took the proposal home, and the family discussed it for hours. It was a partial solution, but one that would require sacrifices from everyone. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. While the Miller family was trying to find a solution, a parent meeting about children's development was happening at school. Jennifer attended, hoping to get some guidance from other parents. During the discussion, she discovered she wasn't the only mother struggling with school adaptation. Mrs. Johnson, mother of little Ethan, shared that her son had similar issues ever since his father changed jobs. "My Ethan also became very sensitive after his dad started working far from home," Mrs. Johnson said. "Children really feel it when there's a change in the family routine." Principal Barbara, who was leading the meeting, was moved by the mother's stories. "I had no idea so many children were having trouble adjusting," she admitted. "Maybe we need to rethink some things here at school." "Principal Barbara, is there any way to make some rules more flexible?" Jennifer asked. "I know it's complicated, but the kids are really struggling." The principal promised to consider alternatives and talk to the City Department of Education. Meanwhile, Jennifer tried some strategies at home to help Emily. One idea was letting her daughter take a handkerchief with her father's scent to school, as a way to keep him present during the day. The strategy worked for a few days. Emily held the handkerchief during class and seemed a little calmer. But soon, the tears returned just as strong as before. "Mommy, Daddy's smell is gone," the little girl said, handing back the scentless handkerchief. That's when Miss Sarah came up with a creative idea. She suggested creating a love mail system in the classroom where children could receive little notes from their parents during the day. "Mrs. Miller, what if Michael wrote little notes for Emily every day?" the teacher suggested. "I could read them to her during class." The idea sounded good, but there was a practical problem. Emily didn't know how to read yet. She was happy to receive the little letters, but she always depended on someone to read them to her. Miss Sarah, the classroom aide, offered to read the letters to Emily, but this ended up causing an unexpected problem. The other children became jealous of the special treatment Emily was receiving. "Principal, why does only Emily get letters?" little Sophie asked during class. "I want letters from my dad too," said the boy Noah, starting to cry. The situation became complicated. Some mothers began complaining about the different treatment Emily was receiving. One of them, Mrs. Williams, was direct when speaking to the principal. "Principal Barbara, I understand the girl is struggling, but my son comes home saying only Emily is special at school," Mrs. Williams complained. "This isn't fair to the other children." The pressure on the school increased, and Ms. Sarah was reprimanded by the academic coordinators for giving special treatment to one student. "Ms. Sarah, you understand, we can't favor one child over the others," the coordinator said. "All children must receive the same treatment." Jennifer felt guilty for causing problems at school. The situation seemed to be getting worse instead of better, and she no longer knew what to do. "Michael, I think we're creating more problems," she told her husband that night. "Now the other mothers are complaining about Emily." "Sweetheart, we're just trying to help our daughter. There's nothing wrong with that. But what if Emily starts being rejected by the other kids because of this?" The couple faced a difficult dilemma: how to help their daughter without harming her relationships with classmates and teachers. Then something unexpected happened that completely changed the course of the story. Mr. Jones, the school janitor for over 20 years, began paying attention to Emily's behavior during recess. Mr. Jones was a simple man, but had a very kind heart. He had raised 3 children and already had 5 grandchildren, so he understood the world of children well. One morning, while Emily was at the fence looking at her father's building, Mr. Jones approached her. "Hey there, little one," the janitor said, crouching to her height. "What are you looking at?" Emily pointed to the building across the street. "My daddy works there," she said in a small voice. "Oh, really? Do you miss him?" Emily nodded yes, her eyes filled with tears. Mr. Jones had a simple idea that would make all the difference. He started waving at the building across the street, exactly the way Michael did when he came home. "Look here, little one," Mr. Jones said, waving his hand. "Let's wave goodbye to your daddy." Emily was delighted with the idea. For the first time in weeks, she smiled at school. "Will he see us waving, Mr. Jones?" "Of course he will, sweetheart. Daddy always sees when his little girl waves goodbye to him." From that day on, Mr. Jones began spending part of recess with Emily. They waved together at the building, and the janitor told her stories about when his own children were little. "You know, Emily, I also have a granddaughter your age, who misses her grandpa when she's at school," Mr. Jones shared. "But you know what she does? She keeps her grandpa right here in her heart, so she's never alone." The emotional connection Emily developed with Mr. Jones was key to her starting to feel less lonely at school. Small progress began to show. Jennifer noticed her daughter came home a little less tearful. There were still tears, but not the desperate sobbing from before. "Michael, I think Emily is doing a little better," Jennifer commented during dinner. "Do you really think so?" "What do you think is making a difference?" Jennifer asked. "She came home today talking about a Mr. Jones from school, said he waves to you along with her." Michael was moved to hear that someone at school was caring for their daughter so tenderly. Dr. Jessica, who continued to monitor Emily, suggested the whole family attend a session together. During that session, they discovered something surprising. "Ashley, how do you feel about everything going on with your sister?" the psychologist asked the teenager. Ashley, who always seemed detached from the family's struggles, began to cry. "I'm hurting too, doctor," admitted the 15-year-old. "Sometimes I feel like Emily gets all the family's attention, and I'm just forgotten." The revelation shocked Jennifer and Michael. They hadn't realized that in trying to help one daughter, they were neglecting the other. "Ashley, sweetheart, why didn't you ever say anything before?" Jennifer asked, guilt weighing on her. "Because I know Emily needs you more right now, but sometimes I need attention too." The family session was eye-opening, helping everyone better understand each other's feelings. Dr. Jessica advised the family to set aside specific time for each daughter, keeping their struggles separate. "It's important to address Emily's situation. But don't forget Ashley is also part of this family and has emotional needs," Dr. Jessica explained. From that day on, Michael and Jennifer made significant changes to their routine. They decided Wednesdays and Fridays would be Ashley's special days, reserved just for her. Meanwhile, Michael kept searching for ways to help Emily. He revisited Kevin's idea about switching shifts. "Kevin, I've thought more about your proposal," Michael said. "Could we try it for a few weeks?" "Sure, man. We can alternate. 1 week I'll work mornings, you take afternoons, and then we switch." Michael brought the idea home, and after much discussion, the family agreed to try. Mr. Thompson approved the change as long as productivity wasn't affected. The difference was immediate. On the days Michael worked afternoons, he personally walked Emily to school. The little girl entered smiling, holding her father's hand. "Daddy, will you be in the building when I look through the fence?" Emily asked on their way to school. "I will, sweetheart, and I'll wave to you along with Mr. Jones." But there was still a problem. On mornings when Michael worked early, Emily's behavior reverted. The tears returned, and she grew anxious. Determined to help her daughter, Jennifer created special goodbye rituals on those days. She made up games, promised fun activities after school, but nothing worked completely. Grandma Ruth, seeing the family's struggle, decided to help in her own way. She began telling Emily stories about when Michael was little. "Did you know, my dear, your daddy used to cry when he had to go to school?" Grandma said, sitting in the living room armchair with Emily in her lap. "Really, Grandma?" "Yes. And you know what I did? I told him his mommy's love went with him to school, right inside his heart." These stories helped Emily feel connected to her father even when he wasn't there. She began to understand that others missed people too, that it was normal. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. Progress was slow, but it was happening. Emily was still crying, but less. She still stood by the fence during recess, but now she also played a little with her classmates. It was during a special school presentation on Mother's Day that the big revelation happened, one that would forever change everyone's understanding of Emily's problem. The school had organized a performance where the children would sing for their mothers. Jennifer, Michael, Grandma Ruth, and even Ashley came to watch. When it was Emily's class's turn to perform, something unexpected happened. The little girl, who was supposed to sing along with her classmates, froze completely upon seeing Michael in the audience. She couldn't make a sound. She stood motionless on stage, staring fixedly at her father, her eyes filled with tears. Miss Sarah tried to encourage her, but Emily burst into tears and ran off the stage, straight into her father's arms. "Daddy, you came!" Emily cried, clinging to Michael. "You came to see me!" At that moment, everyone in the audience was moved. But it was then that the big revelation happened, the one that explained all of the little girl's suffering. So as Michael comforted Emily, she said something that shocked the whole family. "Daddy, I was scared you'd leave forever if I stayed at school," the girl sobbed. "I thought if I didn't keep watching you, you'd disappear." The emotional depth of that confession from such a young child left everyone speechless. Emily wasn't afraid of school itself. She was afraid that if she stepped away from her father, he would vanish forever. "My sweetheart, Daddy will never leave," Michael said, his voice breaking. "Daddy works to take care of you, Mommy, Ashley, and Grandma, but I always come home. But what if you forget me when I'm not looking?" That question revealed Emily's true fear. To a 4-year-old, physical absence meant the risk of being forgotten. She believed she had to watch over her father to make sure he wouldn't forget her. When psychologist Jessica heard about the revelation, she explained that this kind of anxiety was more common than people realized in young children. "Emily has developed what we call extreme separation anxiety," the doctor explained to the family. "She's associated physical distance with emotional abandonment." "But doctor, how can we help her understand that's not true?" Jennifer asked. "We need to work with tangible things she can see and touch. Children this age don't yet grasp abstract concepts like, 'Daddy will never forget you.'" That's when Michael had a brilliant idea. He started recording short videos every day for Emily to watch at school. "Hi, my princess," Michael said in the video recorded in his office. "Daddy's here working, but thinking of you. Soon, I'll be home, and we'll play together." The first time Emily watched the video at school, she beamed. It was as if her father were right there with her, Miss Sarah noticed the immediate change in the girl's behavior and had an idea that would transform the experience for all the children at the school. "Mrs. Miller, what if we created Daddy's moment for the whole class?" the teacher suggested. Other parents could record videos too. The idea was presented to the principal, who at first hesitated about creating special treatment again, but when she saw the positive impact on Emily, she decided to support the initiative. "If this can help other children too, I think it's worth trying," Principal Barbara said. Daddy's moment was implemented and became a success. Every day, before snack time, the children watched the videos their parents sent. Each family recorded in their own way. Some fathers sang, others told stories, some just sent kisses and said they loved their children. Emily became the official helper of the videos. She assisted the teacher in playing the videos for the other children to watch. This special role gave her a sense of purpose and importance at school. "Teacher, today we have a video from Anna's dad," Emily would say excitedly. "I'm going to help her watch it." The most incredible part was seeing how Emily, who once struggled with longing, now helped other children going through the same problem. "Don't be sad, Ethan," she would tell a new classmate who was crying. "Your dad sent a video and he said he loves you so much. Want to see it?" Emily's transformation was remarkable. Not only did she stop crying every day, but she also became one of the happiest and most helpful kids in the class. Jennifer could hardly believe the change when her daughter started coming home eagerly talking about her day. "Mom, today I helped Sophie watch her dad's video," Emily shared during dinner. "And then we played with dolls together." "That's wonderful, sweetheart. And did you feel sad when Daddy left for work this morning?" "No, Mom, because I know he'll record a brand new video for me tomorrow. And I'll also take care of my friends' videos." Michael was moved to see how his daughter had found a way to turn her own pain into help for other children. "Honey, our little girl has become a tiny therapist," he joked with Jennifer. "She's helping other kids cope with missing their parents." The school noticed that the number of children crying during recess had significantly decreased after the video program was implemented. Other schools in the district began showing interest in the initiative. Principal Barbara was so impressed with the results that she decided to expand the program. "We're going to create Family Connection," she announced during a parent meeting. "Not just parents, but grandparents, uncles, older siblings. Everyone can participate by sending videos to the children." Grandma Ruth was one of the first to join the expanded program. She recorded a video telling a traditional Brazilian story for her granddaughter's entire class. "Hello, children. This is Grandma Ruth," she said in the video, sitting in her favorite armchair. "Today I'm going to tell you the story of the Mermaid of the Lake." The children loved having the class grandma tell stories in the videos. Grandma Ruth felt useful and important, and the kids gained another loving figure at school. Even Ashley decided to participate, recording special videos for her younger sister. "Hi, Em," Ashley said in the video, filmed in her room. "Your big sister is here thinking about you. When you get home, we'll play with dolls, okay?" Ashley's involvement strengthened the bond between the sisters and made the teenager feel included in solving the family's challenge. The Family Connection program became a milestone at Little Dreams Elementary School. The local press learned about the initiative and published a story on how one family's struggle had turned into a collective solution. What started as one family's hardship became a revolution in how our school handles children's adjustment, Principal Barbara said in the interview with the local newspaper. Emily, now almost 5 years old, became a sort of ambassador for the program. Whenever new children arrived at school, she was always the first to approach and explain how family time worked. "Hi, are you new?" Emily would ask the new students. "Don't be sad. Here at our school, family stays close to us all the time. Want me to show you?" The emotional maturity Emily developed amazed everyone. She had learned not only to handle her own emotions, but also to help others. Michael continued recording daily videos for his daughter, even after she had fully adjusted to school. It had become a special ritual between father and daughter. "Daddy, when I grow up, I'm going to record videos for my kids too," Emily said one day while watching her father's video. "That's a wonderful idea, sweetheart. Videos are like hugs we can give from afar." The Miller family had learned a valuable lesson about love, patience, and creativity. They discovered that the most effective solutions aren't always the most obvious ones, and that sometimes thinking outside the box is necessary to solve complex problems. Jennifer often reflected on the journey they had taken. "Michael, do you remember how it all started? Emily crying every day, us not knowing what to do," she said, watching their daughter play happily in the backyard. "I do remember. And look how far we've come. Our daughter isn't just doing well, she's helping other kids too." Grandma Ruth, ever wise, shared her own thoughts on the experience. "You know what I learned from all this?" the grandmother said, knitting on the porch. "Children understand much more than we think. Emily knew exactly what she was feeling, she just couldn't explain it in words." The transformation wasn't just Emily's, the whole family grew during the process. Ashley became closer to her parents. Michael learned to balance work and family better. Jennifer developed more patience and understanding, and Grandma Ruth felt more useful and valued. The school changed too. The Family Connection program became a permanent part of their teaching methods, and other schools in the state began implementing similar initiatives. Principal Barbara often said that the experience with Emily had taught everyone at school an important lesson about education. "It's not enough to just teach children facts," she explained in talks with other educators. "We need to care for their emotional well-being too. A child who is struggling can't learn properly." Mr. Jones, the custodian who first welcomed Emily, became a beloved figure among all the school children. He had discovered a natural talent for helping kids with emotional difficulties. "Mrs. Miller, Mr. Jones has become the school grandpa," Emily told her. "All the kids love him. He knows how to make us feel better when we're sad." Emily's story spread through the community and inspired other families to be more creative in solving problems. Many parents began paying closer attention to their children's emotional signals. Ms. Rodriguez, the cleaning assistant who first alerted Jennifer about Emily's behavior, also became an important figure at the school. She was no longer seen just as a cleaning staff member, but as someone who truly cared about the children. "Ms. Rodriguez has always been special," Jennifer said when meeting her at school. "If you hadn't noticed my daughter and told me, we might never have figured out what was happening." Dr. Jessica continued checking in with Emily occasionally, more to monitor her progress than out of necessity. She used the case as an example in talks about childhood anxiety. "Emily's case teaches us that we need to listen to children more carefully," the psychologist explained. "Often they're telling us exactly how they feel, just in ways adults don't immediately understand." Emily's complete transformation became clear at the end of the school year. During the preschool graduation celebration, her classmates chose her to give a speech representing their class. "Guys, at the beginning of the year I cried a lot because I missed my daddy," said Emily into the microphone, with the naturalness typical of children. "But then the school came up with the family videos, and I learned that you can miss someone and still be happy at the same time." Emily's impromptu speech moved everyone in the room. Parents, teachers, and staff stood up to applaud the little girl who had changed so much. Michael and Jennifer cried with emotion as they watched their daughter speak with such maturity about her own journey. "My God, how our little girl has grown," Jennifer whispered to Michael. "And look how she's helping others grow too," Michael replied, proud of his daughter. The story even reached the City Department of Education, which decided to document the experience to create a handbook of best practices for school adaptation. The case of Little Dreams Elementary School shows how a humanized approach can turn problems into solutions, said the education secretary during an interview. Emily, now in first grade, continued to be a role model at school for welcoming children struggling with adjustment. She had found her mission, helping other kids feel less alone. "Principal, can I talk to the new girl?" Emily would ask whenever a crying child arrived at school. "I know how she feels." And so, the girl who once cried every day after school became the child who helped others stop their tears. Suffering had turned into wisdom, pain into compassion, and an individual problem into a collective solution. The Miller family learned that love isn't measured in time, but in the quality of presence. That creativity can solve problems that seem impossible, and that sometimes from the simplest pains, the most beautiful solutions can emerge. Michael kept recording videos for Emily, even though she no longer needed them to feel secure. It had become a family tradition that strengthened the bond between father and daughter. "Daddy, when I have kids, I'll tell them how you helped me when I was little," Emily said one day while watching one of the old videos. "And you'll help your children the same way, sweetheart, because now you know how important it is to care for people's feelings." The school implemented the Family Connection program as a permanent policy, and it became an inspiration for other educational institutions. What started as one family struggle turned into a change that benefited the entire school community. Grandma Ruth, always observant, reflected on the whole experience. "You know what amazes me most about all this?" the grandmother said to Jennifer. "How Emily turned her pain into medicine for other children. That's something grown-ups do, but she learned it when she was still so little." And so the story that began with tears ended with smiles. The girl who used to come home crying from school every day became the child who helped others find reasons to smile. The most important lesson the Miller family learned was that seemingly simple problems can have deep roots, but with love, patience, and creativity, any difficulty can be overcome. And sometimes, the solution to our own problems can become the solution for many others. End of story. Now tell me what you thought of this inspiring story. Have you been through a similar situation with your children or grandchildren? Leave a comment sharing your experience, and don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories about family and resilience.